What's the most terrifying, we need to leave now moment you've ever experienced? January 1979, Iran. I'm 9 years old. My mom is a low-level diplomat. She comes home from work and says, "We have 90 minutes to get to the airport to get out of the country." She knew the Shah's family was getting on a plane and that the overthrow of the government was days if not hours away. We got on the cargo plane with one suitcase between the four of us and maybe $500. Sure enough, next day was the overthrow and lots of people were killed or executed. That's how I wound up in the United States. Was part of a wilderness camping trip as a kid with counselors in the mountains. We had just set up camp when all of a sudden people from higher up were fleeing down and everyone was in a panic. There was a forest fire rapidly descending down towards us. The counselors basically threw what they could back in the vans and wrangled up approximately 15 kids and got us out. We ended up at some random restaurant. As an adult, I think about how terrifying it must have been for those young counselors responsible for a bunch of 10-year-olds' lives to get us to safety. I was out on a run and I noticed this old woman, probably 60 to 70, sitting on the curb. She waved me down and so I ran over to her. She needed help getting up, but as we were talking, I just got this feeling in my gut that something was off. I felt really horrible abandoning an older woman who claimed to need help, but I couldn't shake that feeling, so I apologized for not being able to help and ran off. I looked back just a few seconds later, and this dude in a black truck pulls up to her, and she gets up and gets in no problem. I probably broke a PR. I ran home so fast. Maybe I was just a paranoid female teenager. But to this day, 15 years later, I still get chills thinking about it and feel like it may have been a ploy to try to kidnap me. I was training for a marathon and ran that route a lot, so they could have been expecting me. I was at an outdoor music festival as a teen in the heat of summer with a delay in the setup of the next band. We were in the middle of the crowd and the energy was becoming very tense. People started throwing flattened water bottles across the crowd and at the stagehands that were moving as fast as they could to fix whatever the issue was. By the time the pre-show music started, the crowd began to sway involuntarily from assholes pushing from the back. We agreed it was time to go, but then the band came on as we were trying to move sideways out of the crowd and everyone rushed forward. A 300-pound dude fell on my friends and I, and it took 5 men to get him off us, while others around us were trying to hold back the rush. Once we were up and moving again, a mosh pit broke out around us. I will never forget the 6 feet 5-inch punk with a red mohawk that saw our trouble and shouted, "The only way out is up," and offered us his laced hands for us to take a step as he tossed us up to crowd surf out. I almost lost my shoe while crowd surfing, but we made it out safely and hung back for the rest of the shows. God save the punks. I saw someone flashing a gun in a movie theater lobby. I think it was fake, but I didn't stick around to find out. Hiking in the mountains, sun was setting, and we heard this low, guttural growl that just vibrated through the trees. No idea what it was, but the hair on my neck stood up, and we booked it down that trail faster than I thought possible. Felt like something was hunting us, and it wasn't friendly. Years back, I was walking into a bank. As I pushed on the door, I locked eyes with a teller inside. She was looking at me, shaking her head, no. I then saw a person with a gun was robbing the place. I quickly backed up, ran to my car, and called 911. Someone may have shit in my pants. Not sure who, though. The Soul Halloween Crowd Crush in 2022. I was there with my friends, surrounded by dead people. It took us about 5 hours to leave the scene. I still can't get over it. RIP to the victims. Driving in Mexico, north of Monterrey. I was in a big Suburban and suddenly feel this bump from behind. Look over to see a taxi with 2 guys in the front. They were waving for me to pull over. I noticed there was no back seat. I immediately thought, nope, not pulling over to end robbed, raped, and shot in the desert. I floored it and left them behind. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. Also, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on more awesome stories. And hey, why stop here? Check out another video, I promise it'll be just as interesting.